This video is going to be on making grass for Unreal 4. So the idea is going to be to try and make kind of realistic looking grass. We'll be using photos to start with and just building up some meshes. It's fairly cheap grass as well, so you can quite easily fill a big landscape full of it. And it should also look quite nice from a top-down view. So it's not got, when you look straight down on it, it's not got that kind of nasty look of planes that you get quite often in game grass. Okay, so because we're making realistic grass, we're going to start with some photographs. So this is just some, these are just some photos of bits of grass that I took, and I've cut them out in Photoshop and just kind of added some padding and stuff, so that's them cut out. And then I've added some padding and made an alpha channel. Actually, I've cut the white bit of this off the top of the alpha just for this example. So the next thing to do is go across to Max and just stick them onto some planes. So simple as that. And now let's set our pivots to the base. Okay, so I've got all my pivots set to the base of these. Looks okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is just to kind of scatter these around. So let's move them all to face upwards, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little plane. In fact, no, I'm going to make the top of a cylinder. So this little cylinder here, or at the top of this bit of cylinder, is basically just a circle. I'm just going to paint those grass meshes onto that. So what I'm going to do is use the object paint stuff for this. So I'm going to go to object paint, and let's see, I'm just going to do them one at a time so I've got a bit more control. I want to paint on the selected object, which is this circle, and let's just pick an object. So let's go edit object list, let's pick a bit of grass. In fact, I can probably do these two little bits of grass together. So I should now be able to, oop, that's not worked. Let's see, so paint with objects in list, and now I can paint those onto there. So they're obviously not looking quite right. We want to align them to Y by the looks of it. And what else do we want to do? We want to randomly scale these. So let's make them something between, say, 50 and 130, so randomly scaled between there. So let's select this because we've got two objects. Let's paint them just randomly for the moment. So something like that. And let's see, what else can we do? We can just kind of move them around a little bit, I think. So let's increase our spacing. I'm just trying to create something random. So I'll paint a few in. Paint a few more in. This time, let's move them around a bit. Paint in a few more. It's getting there. So once I've done this, I'm going to make it nice, kind of nice and thick with lots of grass. And once I've done that, I'm just going to add paint in the other ones, so I'll come back once I've done that. Okay, so I've painted those things in. I've got a nice kind of random bunch of grass. I'm just going to delete the circle on the base. So I'm just going to, there's bits that I don't like as well, I'll just come in and try and get rid of those. Right, so that's going to be my clump of grass. I'm going to try and get this, something that looks like this, into Unreal 4. Now obviously I can't really bring this in because that's 3,500 verts, so that would be one clump of grass for 3,500 verts. So what we're going to do is to bake this down. First of all, I'm just going to convert all these back to normal editable polys. And then I'll just attach them all together. Okay, so I've got one big mesh now, and now let's just put my pivot back at 0. Right, so what I'm going to do is, these are all planes, so I can't bake this out in the way that we normally would. So I can't make a plane, put a projection map on, and use a rendered texture to bake out these, the normal maps for these. So what I'm going to have to do is to create a normal map kind of manually. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to tilt this over 90 degrees. So what I want to do is I want to change this to look like a normal map. Let me just take off, these edged faces are annoying me. I'll just take that off. It's better. Actually, I think this is going to work better as well, having the pivot. I'm just going to put the pivot kind of in the middle of the object. Okay, so I want this to look like a normal map, so what I can do is I can just set up some lights to bake out this as a normal map. So what I need is a bunch of just normal direct lights. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And in fact, oh, that's fine. So I need to, I want these to light up at the moment they're just sending a light down where this cone is, this yellow cone is. I just want to find the bit that says here under directional parameters turn on overshoot, and that means it'll just kind of light up everywhere in the scene. So this is a directional light. It's kind of not coming from this source, it's just pointing in that direction. So this one's pointing straight down. So to make a normal map, what I need is to set this to 128.128.255, and I don't know why it's got a -1 multiplier on it. Let's put a 1 multiplier on it. Then I've got a so green is up and down. So this one is going to be green, so 0, 2, 5, 5, 0. Actually, because we're using Unreal 4, let's do the greens the other way around. So let's set that green one to -1. I'm just going to use this and copy and paste actually. The lights don't have to be this side, by the way. I can put the light anywhere. I'm just putting them kind of facing in the right directions. Not facing the right directions, but I'm putting this one at the bottom and this one at the top and so on, just so it's a bit easier to visualize what's going on. So that should be a positive green one. Then this one should be a let's see, positive red, and this should be negative red. Now I just need to put a flat colour on here as well, so let's just copy that in there, give it a different name, and take off the diffuse colour. Right, so if I now light this with my scene lights, so lighting and shadows, scene lights, let's have a look. So I should be getting something now that is looking like a normal map. That doesn't quite look right. Let me just work out why. Okay, the reason this is looking a bit weird is just because I've not ticked two-sided in my material. So there you go, that's looking much more like a normal map now. Right, so what I can do is I can just take a screenshot of that now, and that will be my normal map. So what I want to do to get a nice screenshot is to, I'm just going to use, I'm just going to save this. Let's put it in there. So grass bakes. Okay, so I find this a bit easier to do with two windows open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a camera. So camera, just a free camera, fine. Point that straight down, and let's just move this. So this window now is showing what my camera is seeing. Let's just position that. Oops. and I'm going to want to kind of spin this round, so again, take off edge faces, and so look at our normal map, so illuminate scene lights. Right, I'm going to want to be able to spin this round and keep it all on screen. So that's not quite going to work. I think that'll do. Right, so now we can just render these out. So let's go to our render. So render settings, rendering, render setup. I'm going to render these out at 2048. Let's render it. Oh, and for a render, let's just make sure that I'm on the correct screen. So rendering, render. Right, once you've rendered that out, we just need to save it somewhere at a bitmap. Do I want to do bitmap? So actually we'll save it, we'll save it as a PNG, so that we've got the alpha included in there. What you want to do then is you basically want to turn it around 45 degrees and render it out again, then turn it around another 45 degrees and render it again, and then turn it another 45 degrees and render it again. And you also want to render one out like this, with it turned up on its end. So I'll do all of those and come back. Okay, so I have my the 5 images that I wanted, which I can just load up and show you. Like that. Now what I need is so this is obviously my normal map, I now need a diffuse texture. So to create that, all I'm going to do is take all of these lights, and in fact let's just save this before I do it. Give it a different name. These lights are going to just all be white now. So that'll give me a nice even lighting on the grass. Just make sure they're all positive. And of course I need my my diffuse texture back on here as well, like that. So you can see I've got nice even light. I've not really got any harsh shadows or anything, which is what you would want for an albedo texture. So that's going to be really nice for an albedo. So I'll just render all exactly the same thing. I'm just going to render one out, spin it around 45 degrees, render it again, but this time render them as diffusers. Something that I've not mentioned up to this point I've just noticed when I've rendered this out. You need to, I'm not quite sure why you need to do this, because the padding should take care of it, but if you render these out with your ambient colour in your material set like this, you'll get like white lines around everything. Like I say, I'm not entirely sure why, but if you set those to black, that will get rid of that. Okay, so I've rendered all of those maps out, and then I've just put them into Photoshop and put them together onto a sheet. So I've got all of my normal maps there, and I've got all of my diffuse or albedo maps here. What I'm going to do is just add some padding to that, so I'll just duplicate it and blur that out a bit, and then just keep on duplicating and blurring these to make some padding. Something like that. Let's just put a layer of green underneath as well. Okay, so that's my, that is, well, it's almost my diffuse texture. Let's just put an alpha channel in as well. So copy that, put it into my alpha. Let's just make that black and white. Okay, so that's grass. I'm just going to call this grass 2. So the diffuse. And actually let's just add some padding to this as well. So that's my normal. Okay, so starting a new file in 3ds Max. Now I just need to build some grass meshes, so let's create a plane. Just make it about 2 by 2. And I'm just going to save this diffuse as a TIFF. I'm just saving this as a TIFF because 3ds Max seems to prefer them like that. Okay. Just put the opacity on it. There we go, and now I can start to build my actual meshes. So I'll just cut out the bit in the middle. And then cut out the other ones. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then now I need to make these into a bit more usable meshes, so I want to get rid of as much of the translucent areas as I can. Should just make it a bit cheaper. I'm just going to cut off that bit of grass there, I think. Okay, so you just need to shape your meshes like this. So I'll do that. Okay, so now I just need to put these together into a kind of single mesh. So I'm just going to connect some of these together here, and this is going to be my base. So this will be really good, this one, because what you'll find quite often in games is that when you look at grass sort of straight down towards the ground, it starts to look really crap, because you start to see the meshes that are pointing upwards. So that's why I've rendered out this map, so that when we look down we get some nice, we just get to see something, basically. So that's going to go there at the bottom. And then these all go together like this, so let me just center the pivots on those. So we've got this one. This was our next one, which was, if I kind of put it over the top, if I set this at 45 degrees, like that, I should get quite a, the normal map should sort of line up quite nicely. Set that one to 90, and then this will be 135. So something like that. And then this one goes in at the bottom. Okay, now just adds a bit of variation in this, so that's pretty much it for this mesh. But I'm just going to break these up a little, so instead of them all pointing straight up, I will just kind of move them off a bit like this. Okay, that looks pretty good, I think. Check these are all the right height. Yep, so let's attach these together. Move it back to 0 in the world. And just kind of get it set up so that it's going to sit nicely in Unreal. Something like that. Send to the pivot. There we go. Oh, that wasn't working. Okay, so that's it. Let's save that. Let's call it grass mesh. And now export it. So grass, I'm going to call this cluster 2 because I've made one of these already. It's an FBX. And then open up Unreal. Okay, so I've just got a quick scene that I can paint some grass into. Let's just create a new folder for this. Grass 2. And let's start to bring everything in. So we've got our grass mesh, our diffuse and our normal. Okay, so let's create a material. Create material. Just bring my normal in there as well. And actually looking at that, I don't think my normals come in as a normal map. So let's just change it to a normal map. So sorry, I just need to change the compression settings there to be a normal map. There we go. Just delete that and bring it back in. Right, so I'm just going to set up something so I can control the strength of my normal. So let's just multiply it by a parameter called norm strength. So I just want to multiply the red and the green channels by this, and then just make a float 3. Okay, so that's my normal. What I want to do now is set this material to be masked, and the shading model should be two-sided foliage, and I want to make sure that two-sided is ticked as well. And then our alpha should go into our opacity mask, so it's looking a bit better. And what else? Let's just plug in some things into our roughness. So to create a scalar value, call that roughness, maybe set it to about 0.7 for now. We can maybe add in a roughness map later on. I also want a scalar value in for my opacity, so let's call that opacity. I'll set that to 0.3 for now. Then I'm going to multiply this just by a number as well. I'll call that sub amount, and that's going into my subsurface colour. And I think that should just about be it. It's not looking quite right. But let's see if we can change some of our parameters. Oh, sorry, so let's just set our subsurface default amount to 1. Save that. And create a material instance. Let's put the material instance onto our grass mesh. It's not looking quite right in there, but see what happens when we actually put it into the game. So, create new foliage. I've already got one. Let's create a new foliage actor in here. Now I'm using the distance field lighting, so I'm just going to tell it to cast those distance field shadows. Set it to movable. Let's try setting that to about 1000 for now. Just see what happens when we paint some. Oh, I've got some of these other meshes as well. Let's turn those off. Okay, it's definitely not looking right. Let's just have a look. Okay, so at the moment I'm multiplying my normal amount by 0. So let's give it some of that normal map. You can see what difference the normal map will make. Let's look at our material instance. So that's making the normal map stronger. Let's turn this glow off. It's the normal map getting stronger and weaker. I think something that I definitely need to do here is play with my diffuse map a little bit. Let's see what size these are as well, dropping into the world. They're not too bad, I think they're quite small, so I'm just going to scale them up a bit. I'm wondering if also perhaps, let's just see, Photoshop is in 16-bit, yeah it is, so let's change that to an 8-bit file and save that. So that's why my normal didn't come in as automatically as a compressed normal map. I'm saving that as a TIFF, I don't want to do that, stop. Save that as a Photoshop file, perhaps to faster. And the normal. Right, so let's bring these back in. I think this is going to fix quite a few things, so re-import. There we go, our colours have come in properly now. And re-import that normal map as well. Okay, so it's mostly just a case of playing with settings and stuff now until this looks right. So I can change the amount of strength of my normal map. 1 should be okay. We can change the opacity of this, which will kind of be how much light comes through it. Sometimes I find that bringing the multiplier on this subsurface amount just softens the look of it a bit as well. Okay, so there's a few more things that we need to do. One thing is, at the moment our normal map is kind of working, but the normals are all facing in different directions, which is giving us a funny look. So what we'll do is we'll just change that. Oh, sorry, I don't want that one. I want an edit. Normals. And I just want to try and point them upwards, which is always a bit of a pain to do. Okay, so that's got my normals pointing upwards now. Let's just export this again now, see if that helps. Oh, I made it a bit bigger as well. Yep, they look better now, I think. So I can play with maybe my opacity a bit. I think I need to, in Photoshop, I think I just need to kind of desaturate all of this quite a bit. A bit more like that. Save that. So another thing that I can do is I'll add some wind. So to add some wind, I'm going to put a vertex paint modifier on. Then what I want to do is make all the vertices black in that vertex paint. Then the top one should be white. And the middle ones around here can be some kind of grey. So that'll mean that when the wind blows on it, the bottom will stay still, and then it'll move a little bit in the middle and more at the top. Okay, so let's export that. So I'm just moving my normal map up a bit. You see, it's just a case of tweaking this until it looks right. I might go and mess with my normals again, or actually even go and mess with my mesh until I get the lighting just the way that I want it. See if we can paint a few more in here. So a bit more density. It's a bit dark, and it's a bit too contrasty still. So let's try some levels. And I'm just going to check this is coming in right. Yep. Plot that again. Okay, so I'm getting there now. It's not looking too bad. It's not quite right though. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to create colour, and I'm just going to multiply that by my diffuse texture and the subsurface as well. I'll just make that parameter. I'll just call this something like tint. So it's just quite useful to have that set up here so that I can try some slightly different colours out with my grass. So I can make it really green. I think in this case it needs to be a bit more along here, a bit more red. Maybe a little darker as well. You can see it looks quite nice and thick from the top. One thing that I definitely need to do is I need the ground texture underneath this to match it, which it really isn't doing very well at the moment. So that's something that I would need to go back and fix. I think this sort of specular value that I've got on here is about right for grass actually. So obviously I could change that just by, I can make it more shiny with my roughness, or I can make it a bit rougher. Oops, sorry, that's not roughness. There you go. Shiny, rough. So now I've got lots of grass in as well. You can see how the normal map is affecting that. I'll just turn this down a little now. Okay, so I've still got more tweaking to do. I think I'm going to leave this video. Oh, let me just do one more thing, so let's just put the wind in. So for some wind, I painted my vertexes. So I can bring in a vertex colour, and then I can just use one of these simple wind. Where is it? Wind. Simple grass wind. So my I can just plug, I've got no additional world position offset because I'm not doing anything with world position offset, so I'll just leave that 0. My wind intensity will make a scalar value, call that wind amount. The wind weight is where the thing that we painted our vertex colours for, and finally wind speed. Let's just plug something into that as well. Wind speed. Save. Oh, I'll plug that in. So plug that into world position offset, save that. And where are we? So my material instance, let's just turn up the wind. So if that looks like it's going too fast, you can just slow it down a bit. If I want it to be heavier, just turn up the amount. So I think maybe I'll set that to 0.3, just to 0.1. Let's have a bit of subtle wind. It's So what I'll do is I'll pause this video, I'll tweak things a bit more, and then I'll come back with the finished material. Okay, so this is my finished results, I think, or this is where I'm going to leave it for now anyway. So all I've really done is just tweaked values, altered the specular value a tiny bit. I messed around with my normals a bit more, but I've not done anything special. I've just messed with the settings until I got the result that I wanted. I've also painted in some of these other bits of grass that I had that have got these little white, I don't know what you call them, but the sort of white grass bits like that on them. Just a few of those meshes just to add a bit of variation. So I hope this video helps, and that's it.